Brought to you by Penguin. The Night Manager by John le Carré. Read by Michael Jaston.
Chapter 1. On a snow-swept January evening of 1991, Jonathan Pine, the English night manager of the Hotel Meister Palace in Zurich, forsook his office behind the reception desk, and in the grip of feelings he had not known before, took up his position in the lobby as a prelude to extending his hotel's welcome to a distinguished late arrival. The Gulf War had just begun. Throughout the day, news of the Allied bombings, discreetly relayed by the staff, had caused consternation on the Zurich Stock Exchange. Hotel bookings, which in any January were low, had sunk to crisis levels. Once more in our long history, Switzerland was under siege. But the Meister Palace was equal to the challenge. Over all Zurich, Meisters, as the hotel was affectionately known to taxi drivers and habitués, presided physically and traditionally alone. A staid Edwardian aunt, perched on her own hilltop, gazing down on the folly of hectic urban life. The more things changed in the valley, the more Meisters stayed herself, unbending in her standards, a bastion of civilized style in a world intent on going to the devil. Jonathan's point of vantage was a small recess between the hotel's two elegant showcases, both of them displaying ladies' fashions. Adele of the Bahnhofstrasse was offering a sable stole over a female dummy, whose only other protection was a gold bikini bottom and a pair of coral earrings, price on application to the concierge. The clamour against the use of animal furs these days is as vocal in Zurich as in other cities of the Western world, but the Meister Palace paid it not a blind bit of notice. The second showcase, by César, likewise of the Bahnhofstrasse, preferred to cater for the Arab taste, with a tableau of lusciously embroidered gowns and diamante turbans, and jewelled wristwatches at 60,000 francs a shot. Flanked by these wayside shrines to luxury, Jonathan was able to keep a crisp eye on the swing doors. He was a compact man, but tentative, with a smile of apologetic self-protection. Even his Englishness was a well-kept secret. He was nimble and in his prime of life. If you were a sailor, you might have spotted him for another, recognized the deliberate economy of his movements, the caged placing of the feet, one hand always for the boat. He had trim curled hair and a pugilist's thick brow. The pallor of his eyes caught you by surprise. You expected more challenge from him, heavier shadows. And this mildness of manner within a fighter's frame gave him a troubling intensity. You would never, during your stay in the hotel, confuse him with anybody else. Not with Herr Stripley, the creamy-haired front-of-house manager. Not with one of Herr Meister's superior young Germans who strode through the place like gods on their way to stardom somewhere else. As a hotelier, Jonathan was complete. You did not wonder who his parents were, or whether he listened to music, or kept a wife and children, or a dog. His gaze as he watched the door was steady as a marksman's. He wore a carnation. At night he always did. The snow, even for the time of year, was formidable. Fat billows swept across the lighted forecourt like white waves in a tempest. The chasseurs, alerted for a grand arrival, stared expectantly into the blizzard. Roper will never make it, Jonathan thought. Even if they let his plane take off, it can never have landed in this weather. Herr Kasper has got it wrong. But Herr Kasper, the head concierge, had never got anything wrong in his life. When Herr Kasper breathed arrival imminent over the internal speaker, only a congenital optimist could imagine that the client's plane had been diverted. Besides, why else would Herr Kasper be presiding at this hour, except for a big spender? There was a time, Frau Loring had told Jonathan, when Herr Kasper would maim for 2 francs and strangle for 5. But old age is a different state. These days, only the richest pickings were able to lure Herr Kasper from the pleasures of his evening television. "Hotel's full up, I'm afraid, Mr. Roper," Jonathan rehearsed in another last-ditch.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?